What is Maalik Murphy's ceiling as a Duke football quarterback? When we talk about the ACC, how does it fare amongst the rest of these power conferences in college football? We've got several questions like that we will answer throughout the course of today's Mailbag Monday episode of Locked On Blue Devils.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. It is so great to have you here with us on Monday, June 3rd, 2024. The month of June has arrived, and we've got a lot of really awesome things to discuss throughout the course of today's episode here of Locked On Blue Devils. We'll be talking about your questions here on this Mailbag Monday regarding Duke football. Locked On Blue Devils is a podcast devoted to everything going on in the life of Duke athletics. And so today we've got to focus here on football. If you had any questions, you sent them in via Twitter, like always, at LO_Blue Devils or via Gmail, lockedonbluedevils@gmail.com. We added them in. We'll start to have a great conversation with our pal Josh Cox from Duke Football Talks Section 17 podcast. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Also, make sure that you check us out on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, share it with your friends. All that support just means so much to us here at Locked On Blue Devils. So without further ado, I'm really excited to welcome him on in. Josh Cox is here with us today on the program. Josh, we look at the calendar. All of a sudden, it's June, man. We're getting closer to football season, but 2024 as a whole flying on by.
It sure is, man. It sure is. We are now. Well, the Olympics are going to help us because we're coming to the end of basketball with the NBA Finals starting up here really soon, and then we have the Olympics that are going to get us to football season. But you're right, time is flying by, and before we know it, man, we'll be sitting our butts down in Wallace Wade and watching some football.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Monday, June 3rd here, so we're just a few days away from Thursday when the NBA Finals get started between the Celtics and the Mavericks. A couple of Duke guys there. Before we even get into the mailbag, I got to ask you, how do you think that series unfolds?
Well, I do. I actually tweeted this last week. I think that the Celtics match up with Luka and Kyrie as good as you can match up with them because you got Derek White and Drew Holiday that kind of match up with Kyrie, and then you got Tatum and Brown that can kind of match up with Luka. So I do like that. My only issue is that the stagnant offense sometimes in Boston, man. So I think though putting me up against the wall here, I think it's going to go 6 or 7, man. And I'm going to go Boston, man. Tatum's going to get his first title, so in 6 or 7.
I think I agree with you. I'm ready to see him get it done and ready to see Boston back on top there with Jason Tatum and Emil Jefferson getting a ring as well. Yep. As an assistant coach. All right, so we've got mailbag questions here, Duke football edition that people have been sending in, and we'll just get ready to dive right in. Had a couple of questions exiting spring football when a Mailbag Monday that you and I did. And so here's some leftovers that we can tackle. How excited should we be for new transfer wide receiver Javon Harvey? That's our first question that came in here on Mailbag Monday.
Yeah, Harvey coming in from, I believe, Old Dominion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
As a grad transfer, as transfer. So in practice, I will tell you this. He stands out. Like during spring ball before the spring game, I think he was wearing like number 58 or something. And so I didn't know who he was, but he catches your eye. It's like I had to go find my roster sheet to figure out who this was. And so I believe he is going to be in that top rotation. So I think what you logically have here, with Jordan Moore, with Samir Hagans, and that third spot, which historically would be Eli Panko, who's back, but we're not sure of where that's going to land. Harvey's right in the mix with those guys. So you're going to see him. He's fast. He's sure-handed. He's smart. He communicates really well with the quarterback during practice. You always see him when he's not running reps out there with the quarterbacks. They're talking. So I believe what you're going to have with that is you're going to have an older guy, you're going to have a possession receiver, you're going to have a third down threat. You're going to have, that guy that's just sure-handed. And so, obviously that's a good thing for a quarterback to have, is that slot kind of small guy. He's not big, but kind of that small guy that you can throw the ball to. He's going to make that tough catch over the middle, or he's going to put his body on the line to do what he needs to do. And so I think that's what you're going to get. And then in the locker room, I can't vouch, not been in the locker room and seen it, but when you add these older guys that are hungry, man, those tend to be really good locker room guys. And so I think a guy like Jordan Moore would really appreciate and is appreciating having another guy in there, like Harvey.
Yeah, a really good profile written on Harvey by the Duke Chronicle, the Duke student newspaper, putting together a piece about his work at Old Dominion, a native of Norfolk, Virginia, originally. So coming a little bit closer, or staying kind of in his hometown area within the state, or whatever, down in North Carolina here, playing for Duke. And noting the fact that Jonathan Brewer was at Old Dominion as well, Duke's new offensive coordinator. So there's the consistency there. And then the speed, first and foremost, to your point, is what a lot of people are bringing up about him. And any fast guys in a passing game, I'm immediately a fan of. Absolutely obsessed. And I hope we see Harvey blazing down the sidelines time after time after time this season.
Well, yeah, and especially a great point on the connection with Brewer, but like what Johnny Brewer wants to do with the offense. I mean, it's all about speed. It's all about getting down the field. It's all about. I think he's going to fit that very well. And so it was kind of an under the radar pickup for Duke.
Yeah,
but I believe a very important one.
All right, Mailbag Monday. Next question sent in via email. What was your biggest takeaway from the blue and white game this spring?
Well, my first big takeaway is that whatever your takeaways are, don't make them too big, right? So that's the first thing, is especially in the way that Duke had – that was not Coach Diaz's choice per se.
Right.
But the way Duke had to run that spring game, it just is what it is. You obviously would have liked to see a full offensive line go against a full defensive line, and you didn't get to do that. And so from that, obviously, it was our first glimpse of Maalik Murphy. I believe my takeaway there is that, he's going to need to shore up some stuff on the offensive side of the football. That was the same during practice. He can make throws that no one else, can make. There's no question about that. But with that being said, oftentimes those people that can make those throws try to make those throws sometimes too much in traffic. And so he's going to have to make sure he values the football there. I also, in the same vein, was very impressed with Grayson Loftus coming out of that spring game, coming out of spring practice period. So I believe that Coach Diaz knows that he has two bona fide quarterbacks that can win games in the ACC, which Loftus proved that last year. And so that was my first big takeaway, is that I think the quarterback position is great. I believe we're too deep there, and I think that we'll go a long way there. A second thing, obviously, defense on the defensive side of the football would have, liked to see maybe some more transfer guys that were in here early and things like that. Didn't happen, but this is gonna be the year, man. Is Wes Williams as good as Wes Williams can be? Because he is a freak and we love him. Is Aaron Hall good? Like, you saw these things, and unfortunately, because we couldn't see the real gameplay, it was kind of hard to gauge that. And so, my last big takeaway there, I do believe in the another step in the wide receiver room taken by Samir Hagans. I really feel like Samir has taken on more of a leadership role, vocal leadership role there with Jordan Moore, with Javon Harvey, with Eli Pancol. And so I specifically like what I saw from Samir. And I think we'll see Samir returning punts this year, doing some stuff like that, along with Harvey.
I can't wait to see it all unfold there with our blue and white spring game takeaways. Obviously, it's hard.
There was another one. I forgot one, JJ. This was important. The Duke University marching band allegedly, and maybe this was just for the spring game, added a tuba. They had 3 or 4 tubas there, and so I don't know what that means. I don't know if they're going to be here in the fall, but there were more tubas than what are typically in Wallace Wade.
That's big. Wow.
Yeah.
Literally big. I like that. Awesome. And speaking of size, I think it's safe to say a big takeaway was just simply the size of the Duke quarterback, Maalik Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll have a little bit more on that as we continue here. It's a Mailbag Monday episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Let's get ready to take our first break here. Yeah, marching band news. You never really know what to expect when Josh Cox joins the show, and we absolutely love that. We'll be back in a moment. All right, Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn. We obviously know how difficult it can be when hiring for your small business. You want to find those quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. It helps you find professionals to hire that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses will get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, we move forward here on the show. We've got Josh Cox here with us from Duke Football Talks Section 17 podcast. We've got Mailbag Monday with Duke football. Next question comes in. What do you think of the strength of ACC football going into 2024 compared to other power conferences? I enjoy this question, Josh. Obviously, conference realignment is massive. We're going to have our first ever football season where Oklahoma and Texas are members of the SEC. We're seeing SMU and Cal and Stanford coming over to the ACC. So what do you think of this question that we were asked?
And then what is it, Oregon? Is Oregon in the Big Ten now?
Yeah, good point. I mean, we could keep going. USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon, all over in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Ooh. So, I mean, you can look at it two ways. Obviously, just realistically, the ACC has kind of stood on the shoulders of either Clemson or Florida State here in our recent history. And so if you look at those two teams, Florida State really, I mean, they have a favorable schedule as far as their out-of-conference games don't seem too rough. They're at Notre Dame towards the end of the season. And then they have their annual Florida game. But the rest is ACC football. Obviously, Clemson and them and Florida State will play on October the 5th. We'll see there. But Florida State, obviously they're coming off of losing Jordan Travis and losing some other guys in the draft. And so we'll see how, everything works there with Clemson, man. I don't know what to think about Clemson, JJ. Like I want to believe in their program and I want to believe in what Dabo has created there over these last several years. But man, their lack of adapting to what the modern football looks like makes me wonder. And then of course they start their season against Georgia. And like, I know you can lose that game and still be fine, especially in the 12th team now, but you just wonder how that looks. They got Florida State, obviously they got South Carolina, then they have their regular schedule. NC State and them is always a crazy game. And so I don't know. I will say this. I don't believe the ACC is going to have a preseason top 5 team. Not sure we're going to have a preseason top 10 team. So I think it's going to have to be working the way through the season, seeing who rises to the top. The Lord knows, NC State has killed the transfer portal in a good way, it seems. Who knows what they can bring to the table. And then, so all that to say, I'm not confident in the national brand right now of the ACC, just being honest with you. You've got Michigan coming off the national title, obviously losing their coach. But Michigan coming off the national title, you have your Ohio States and your Penn States and your Oregons now, and then of course in the SEC, we can't even. When you add Texas and Oklahoma to what the SEC already was, that's just so deep. But I guess what you can look at, JJ, maybe those guys beat each other up, man. Maybe they beat each other up all throughout the season, and at the end of the day, the ACC gets a couple teams in that top 12, just because they're not beating each other up as much. And so maybe we benefit from that. I will say this, man, the thing I love about college football is that if you get in that top 12, anything can happen.
Yeah.
On any night, it's one game, and anything can happen. So that's where I kind of sit on that. I'm not confident in any way, but I do believe the ACC can get the team or two in, and then once you get in, it's a brand new season.
No doubt about that. Big stuff there. I think when you look at the other conferences and the schools that they've added, the strength of the ACC just doesn't carry its weight compared to those other conferences, but there could still be great seasons from these teams. I think there are teams that are capable of competing for an expanded college football playoff this year for the first time ever, and so love that. All right, this next question is probably one of my favorite questions in football mailbags that we've had previously. Just well thought out. Manny Diaz is a defensive guy coming off another defensive guy in Mike Elko. So here's the question. Is it safe to say our defense will be better than our offense in 2024?
That's a great question. I mean, certainly the question is correct. Duke has been defensively focused now for 2 seasons under Mike Elko. Manny Diaz comes in, obviously the number 1 defense in the country at Penn State. Between his defense and Jonathan Packey's defense, who is now the Duke defensive coordinator, they were the top 2 defenses last year in takeaways in the country. So, you know that there's going to be an emphasis on that, on being aggressive on defense. My question, as I mentioned a little bit or hinted to a little bit before, is Wes Williams going to take that big step? Is Aaron Hall, Michael Reese, that's back on the ends there. Kendi Charles, transfer from Liberty. That's really highly touted. Are these guys going to really come in, and are they going to take those next steps? Trey Freeman is going to be, leaned upon for sure in the leadership role. That secondary, we know the secondary is fine with Terry Moore and Stinson and Bergeron and then Pickett and Rivers on the wings there. But is there depth? And so to answer his question, I'm going to actually say, because of the speed of the offense that Brewer is bringing in, I think from the eye test for the first few weeks of the season, I think the offense is going to look better.
Yeah.
I think over time, we're going to see the defense right the ship.
Yeah.
But I will say this, having the offense trying to be the fastest offense in the country, which is what Brewer wants it to be, it puts a lot of pressure on your defense. It really does. It's really hard to have the fastest offense in the league and then also have a stout defense that shuts people down. You're just putting a lot more pressure on your defense that way. So that's the way I look at it. I believe the offense is going to look better initially, but then over the season, as the season progresses, barring injury, you should see the defense catch up.
Well, he's looking for the safe answer here. So is it safe to say the defense will be better than the offense? Probably not, because
no, not safe to say.
Yeah, too many player turnover that we're seeing right now. The coach consistency is great, but there are more coming back on the offensive side of the ball. I think you feel great about Murphy and the options there at that quarterback spot. So awesome question there. All right, one more timeout here on today's show, and then we'll start to wrap up this episode of Locked On Blue Devils when we return. Locked On Blue Devils is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Of course, it's winner take all time in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers will get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book and a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, we'll keep this moving. Josh Cox is here from Duke Football Talks Section 17 podcast. Take a moment. Tell me about the podcast that you guys do, Josh.
Yeah, for sure. So we are a Duke Football Podcast, Section 17. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. And we would love to have you come on our listenership there. We take a deep dive into football. We are media credentialed, so we get a little bit of a behind the scenes there. Look with them. So you can find us on Instagram and Twitter or X, whatever, at Duke FB Talk. On Facebook, you can search Duke Football Talk. I think we're on TikTok as well. I don't do that, but we have somebody who does that. So I think we're on TikTok as well. And then our website is DukeFootballTalk.com. And so at the end of the day, we're wherever you go, we're trying to be there. And so follow along. And then like JJ would say, like and subscribe, YouTube here on Locked On our channel, on YouTube as well. And then, comment, share this with your friends, both Locked On. What incredible work JJ does. If you guys understood, we'll brag on JJ because he's about to be able to go to 3 days a week or going to 3 days a week here
this week.
But like this week. So, but for the last several months, every single day, 5 days a week, you might think it's nothing just to like get up and put these out, but it takes work and preparation. And so JJ's worked his butt off, man. And so make sure you show him love and follow and rate and review and all that good stuff.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. And go support what they're doing. All right, here we go. Some more mailbag questions. Get back on track. We'll wrap up the show here. Outside of a state of North Carolina team, who in the ACC do you wish Duke played every year in football? This is a fun question because the conference is expanding. Things are changing when we kind of look at these schedules. And so for this question, we're taking out the Tar Heels, the Wolfpack, the Demon Deacons. Yep. Who do you think? Who do you want to see?
So, okay. With the current regime, I think the answer is the University of Miami. I would love for Duke to play Miami every single year. I like and honestly, it's kind of turned into a little bit of a rivalry. I mean, when you have the crazy ending of the 2015 game that Miami wins, you have Duke going down there, winning a couple games, breaking the U thereafter after scoring touchdowns. I think that would be a good one. So that'll be my first pick. And then I think this is just for my personal vendetta. I'm not a big Tony Elliott fan. And so I think I'd go Virginia. I think that would be a fun next one. It's close. Proximity makes sense. And so I think that would be my two. But Miami would be my first one because I love the Diaz connection. And then you add to it, over the last 9 to 10 years, there's been some really crazy football games that have taken place between the two teams.
For sure. I think in that regard, Miami, FSU, Clemson, just, hey, outside the state in the conference that you can really rely on kind of big games each and every season. I think a lot about the SEC schedule, Josh, and how much of a gauntlet it is each and every year. And as an Auburn alum, wishing that you could get Vanderbilt on your schedule every single season. And so in some ways, I'm thinking about that perspective from Duke as well. If I were to throw out, I don't know, a Boston College, a UVA, a Syracuse, some of those schools where not looking for the easy way out, but look, it's hard to win in this league. And when you got someone on your schedule each and every year that you feel a little bit okay, knowing they're going to be in your conference, it's not some non-conference game that you're scheduling. I don't know. I think I wouldn't mind if Duke had one of those guys on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, certainly for the wins and losses and for the bowl bids and all that stuff. I'm thinking. So I'll throw one at you, JJ. I'm gonna throw you a little curveball here. You ready?
Yeah.
So let's stay on the East Coast, Midwest to the East Coast, non-conference. A non-conference. I'm thinking about it too. Who would you want to? Because we have Northwestern that we've been playing non-conference, which I think is a great matchup. Who would you like to see Duke do a non-conference series with?
I think I got to go on the same kind of playing field as Northwestern. So let me kind of gather some thoughts here because I'm not jumping to the juggernauts in the sport right away. That's a great question. Who are you thinking?
Man, well, I mean, I did this. I think it's jumping to the juggernauts. So I for some reason Penn State. I think that would be cool because there's never been an interaction there. But I think I'm going to go to bring back an old ACC rival, and I think I'd go Maryland. Yeah, let's bring back Maryland. Let's play them. I mean, I would obviously love to play them in basketball more than football, but let's bring back the old rivalry there with the Terps. So I think that's what I'm going to go with because I would love to go to Happy Valley and I would love to experience all that. I have a feeling that might not be best for Duke.
West Virginia is on the top of my mind right now. Gosh, West Virginia. Let's go to Morgantown. Those folks are crazy. They're burning couches. They're doing wild things. But the football program, a little inconsistent these days. Yeah, you never really know.
Tennessee's another one. Tennessee, that will be fun. Same deal. They're wild and crazy, but they've been good the last couple of seasons. But, the few seasons before that, there's some good options out there.
Mailbag Monday is typically for the listeners, but here we are with Josh Cox taking it over.
Take it over.
That's
I got three more for you. I'm just kidding. I'm not good.
All right, last question. What is Duke quarterback's Maalik Murphy's ceiling this season? What do you think?
Oh, man. So that's actually a really good question because I exactly. So if you're looking at raw talent, JJ, I mean, if you're looking at like we created a player, on the college football game, like you're going to create 6'5", 245, just strong as an ox. Like that is who you create. And so Maalik Murphy is a physical freak. He loves life, man. He enjoys himself. He has fun at everything he does. He's a good leader. He's naturally drawn to leadership. Like he naturally connects with his teammates, especially on the field. I can't speak for off the field, but especially on the field. So his ceiling is the breakout season that Riley Leonard had 2 years ago, where like here he is. The ceiling is the best quarterback in the ACC. I mean, that's the ceiling. And so I think he's going to get there? I have no idea. But I mean, listen, he's going to have every opportunity because Jonathan Brewer's offense is all about moving the ball down the field as quickly as possible. He's going to get his chances. And so I think that's his ceiling, man. I'm not going to jump all the way to, Heisman or anything like that. Anybody coming from a school like Duke trying to win a Heisman, that's going to be interesting. But I will say I think he can be that guy where they're like, oh, here are the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the ACC, and Maalik Murphy's name is in that conversation.
Dude, that's exactly where I was. I would say all ACC, right? First, second, third team, whatever you look at there. Good quarterbacks in this conference, but Maalik Murphy can certainly put his name atop the list out there. You've got Cam Ward now at Miami. DJU is back at Florida State. Kyle McCord comes over from Ohio State to Syracuse. A couple of big names. Grayson McCall's at NC State. Haynes King was at Texas A&M, and now he's at Georgia Tech. That's a good quarterback. Yep. So, yeah, I think all ACC is certainly a fair spot to put Maalik Murphy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all those guys you listed, I mean, I think every one of them, if you were to ask the same question about them, you'd say, top 2 or 3 in the ACC. So, like, I think there are several guys that can make that happen. It's just a matter of who's going to go out there on the field and execute, and put the actual physical play out there to do that. And so, no reason in the world Maalik can't be in that conversation. And I think one of the big things is just going to be can he take care of the football? The fewer takeaways, the fewer interceptions, the fewer fumbles, the better. And that was the downfall of that Duke team. The final season of Coach Cutcliffe is those last 2 years is that we just couldn't hold on to the football. And so at the end of if you can't hold on to the football, you're not going to win many football games. Yeah, so he's got to make sure that's his focus.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, I think I failed to mention Cade Klubnik in Clemson. I think he'll be better this season.
That's okay.
Yeah.
28-7.
Yeah, excited. Exactly. Throw that score back. Maybe we'll play that game on an annual basis. They're not located in the state of North Carolina.
There you go.
Awesome stuff, Josh. Really fun going through this mailbag episode today with you. One more time, promote all the work you got going on.
Yeah, for sure. Duke Football Talk on Twitter and Section 17 Podcast, anywhere you listen to podcasts, and then also do some work with the Durham Devils Club, which is Duke football's NIL arm, helping build those rosters, man, and trying to keep Duke competitive. And so that's a lot of fun, and we appreciate the support. Obviously, if you're listening to Locked On, you're a Duke fan, and so we'd love to cross to push people to JJ. JJ pushes people to us, and that's kind of how we build this network of Duke fans.
Enjoy your summer as we've now made it to June. Locked On moving to 3 days a week here, Josh. So we'll certainly see you over the course of the summer. Excited to hear more football updates. Excited to hear what you hear around town about the marching band and the state of the tuba section there for the Blue Devils. And it's good to see you as always, man.
Have a great one, JJ. We'll see you, man.
All right, that's Josh Cox joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils, and that's another Mailbag Monday for you. If you have any other questions, send them to us on emails, lockedonbluedevils@gmail.com. And again, Locked On is transitioning into summer mode with the college channel, so we'll be down to 3 shows a week, but still have a lot of great content coming your way here on Locked On Blue Devils. That'll do it for our show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you soon. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.